extension of the shelter-in-place, or frankly, I would call it forcibly imprisoning people in their homes against all their constitutional rights. That's my opinion, and breaking people's freedoms in ways that are horrible and wrong, and not why people came to America or built this country. What the excuse me. People, the outrage, it's an outrage.
Tweeting the coronavirus panic is dumb.
The argument is we need to keep going, protect the weak, protect the sick, but let's open up the economy. The other argument is stop placing money over human lives, and let's shelter in place until we come up with some sort of a decision, and let's figure out some way to develop some sort of a universal basic income plan or something like that to feed people during this time when we make this transition.
I think there's as I said, my opinion is if somebody wants to stay home, they should stay home. And if somebody doesn't want to stay home, they should not be compelled to stay home. That's my opinion. Do you think if somebody doesn't like that, well, that's my opinion. This notion though that you can just sort of send checks out to everybody and things will be fine is not true. Obviously, there's some people have this absurd view that the economy is like some magic horn of plenty, like it just makes stuff, whatever. There's a magic horn of plenty, and the goods and services, they just come from this magic horn of plenty. And then if somebody has more stuff than somebody else, it's because they took more from this magic horn of plenty. Now let me just break it to you, the fools out there. If you don't make stuff, there's no stuff. Yeah. So if you don't make the food, if you don't process the food, you don't transport the food, and whether medical treatment, getting your teeth fixed, there's no stuff. I would become detached from reality. You can't just legislate money and solve these things. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. Obviously, we'll run out of the stores. We'll run out of the the machine just grinds to a halt.
What's the way out of this? What do you think is if you had the president's ear, or if people wanted to just listen to you openly, what do you think is the way out of this?
Let's clear up the data. So, like I said, something should be recorded as COVID only if it is somebody has been tested, has received a positive COVID test, not if they simply have symptoms, one of 100 symptoms. And then if it is a COVID death, it must be separated. Was COVID a primary reason for death, or did they also have stage 3 cancer, heart disease, emphysema, and got hit by a bus? And had COVID. Yeah,
I've read all this stuff about them diagnosing people as a COVID death despite other variables.
This is not a question. This is what is occurring.
And where are you reading this from? Where are you getting this from?
The public health officials have literally said this. This is not a question mark.
Right. But this is unprecedented, right? Like if someone had the flu but also had a heart attack, they would assume that person died of a heart attack.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is unprecedented. Is this because this is such a popular, I don't want to use that word the wrong way, but that's what I mean, a popular subject and financial incentives?
Yes. And like I said, this is not some sort of a moral indictment of sort of hospital administrators. It's just they're in a tough spot here. They actually don't have enough patients to pay everyone without furloughing doctors and firing staff, and they're potentially going bankrupt. So then they're like, okay, well, the stimulus bill says if we get all this money, if we say if it's a COVID death, I'm like, okay, they coughed before they died. In fact, they're not even diagnosed as COVID. They simply, if you had weakness, a cough, shortness of breath. Frankly, I'm not sure how you die without those things.
Yeah. Right. There's so many different things that you could attribute to COVID too. There's so many symptoms. There's diarrhea, headaches, dehydration, cough.
Yeah. Yes, but to be clear, you don't even need to have gotten a COVID diagnosis. Right. You simply need to have had one of many symptoms and then have died for some reason. So then it makes the death count look very high. And then we're then stuck in a bind because it looks like the death count's super high and not going down like it should be. And now, so then we should keep whatever, keep the shelter in place stuff there and keep people in their home, confine people to their homes. So we need to break out of this. We're stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
And I think the way to break out of this loop is to have clarity of information.
First of all, we need real data. We need
just parse out the data. Don't lump it all together.
Yeah.
And then if you give people just parse out the data better, clearer information about like I said, was this an actual COVID diagnosis or was it or did they get the test and the test came back positive or do they just have some symptoms? Just parse those two out, and then parse out just if somebody died, did they die? Did they even have a COVID test? Or did they just have one of many symptoms? Like how do you die without weakness? I don't know.
Right.
It's impossible, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're going to die, you're going to have shortness of breath, weakness, and you might cough a little.
So was it quantified? Was it?
Yeah. Did that person die? Did they actually have a COVID test? And the test come back positive? And then if they died, did they die where COVID was? It doesn't have to be the main cause, but it was a significant contributor to their death, or was it not a significant contributor to the death?
Right. It's not as simple as just because you had COVID killed you.
It's definitely not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people die all the time, and they have like flu and
yes.
Other colds, and we don't say that they died of those flu and other colds.